Hello, Joshua from PitchHunter.com. Today's topic is pitching mechanics. Now, all of you understand that pitching mechanics are very vital when it comes to pitching in order to get high velocity. Everybody out there searches for someone who has a knowledge in this area. The fact of the matter is, though, most people do not, and that's what I want you to be very aware of. Most people think they have an understanding of pitching mechanics because they've read some articles or they've looked at some stuff on the web, maybe read some books, etc. They may have a understanding in certain areas, but in the majority of the whole picture, they do not. Unless someone has a background in biokinesiology or understands biomechanics, physics, angles, things like that, they're not going to have a good grasp at what you need to do as an individual in order to increase your velocity. It's impossible. And it doesn't matter who the person is or their credibility. That's why it makes it dangerous for players just to listen to anyone because of a certain name. And I know Hall of Fame pitchers who, own teams or speak things and say, this is what I'm going to implement for my training program for my players, end up destroying 3 good arms due to Tommy John surgery or this or that, but because of the name of the individual, they realized that, or they thought that, he must know what he's talking about. In the reality, most do not. Even at the highest level that I work with, whether it be Major League Baseball, top college universities, there is always an aspect in their delivery when it comes to either training or their philosophy on pitching mechanics that is completely faltered. And they apply a lot of useless information or training regimens that waste time or diminish productivity within the athlete. You do not want that. So I'm here to help you get a grasp on how you should train, what you should look for, and what I can do for you when it comes to developing you as an athlete. So number one, how to develop the power pitcher. I can name a whole list. Is it long distance running? Is it weight training? Is it long toss? Is it weighted baseballs? Is it training aids that claim to increase velocity? Is there a ton of squats? Is it bands, blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. It's a couple of those as part of a smaller picture, but most of them are wrong. And what I mean by that is, it's way more complex than you think. You can't just pick and choose and develop and say this is going to work. It's not going to happen. You have to have an understanding of what you're doing, why you're doing it, what to look for. One of the main things that makes my programs, or the top thing that makes my program so successful in training major league guys, college guys, even kids, is that the routines that I create for them are customized based on their strengths and weaknesses. You can never just give a one-size-fits-all answer and expect to see dramatic results. It's not going to happen. When developing a power pitcher, you have to implement strategically the type of training at specific times. You have to understand the athlete, where they are in their training regimen, their mobility, what they're doing in the mechanics. There's so many different aspects. The central nervous system, how to train it. Like I said, there's so many different aspects to training the baseball player. You can't just say, go out and strength train. Go out and long distance run. Go do some long toss. You'll throw 95. It's not going to work. That's why the majority of players who are listening to this and out there, they don't see results. 1 out of 100 high school baseball athletes actually see results when they're doing everything that's been implemented within the baseball world. So if only 1% is actually seeing an increase, do you consider that successful? Absolutely not. You need something that's more based on you as an individual. One of my slogans that I always tell people is, I consider pitchers and hitters like fingerprints. They're all similar, but completely unique. Everybody in the world has a fingerprint that's similar. They all, it's structured to look like a fingerprint, but no one is exactly the same. Same thing with a hitter, same thing with a pitcher. I can't take someone's mechanics and try to copy them on somebody else. Bone structure, alignment, everything is totally different. Therefore, I have to treat them different. I have to customize for them based on what I see, based on my knowledge in the background. That's why results are so tremendous. I have players gain 6 miles per hour in 2 weeks one of my favorite stories is I helped this one guy who's been out of college for years. He trained with me, gave him a routine, showed him what he needed to do. In 2 weeks, he went from 86 to 92, signed his first professional contract. That's one person. One of the top left-handed pitchers in the state of, actually the number one pitcher in the state of South Carolina, one of the top in the nation, went with my program in 2 months from 85 or 86 to 91, 92, signed with the number one ranked team in the nation, the South Carolina Gamecocks. By the time I'm done working with him, I guarantee he'll be a first rounder throwing 95 above. So this is the type of athletes that I produce, and I want to help you get to that level. Number two, are drills, are they necessary to develop pitching mechanics? Depends. Like I said, it's another complex question. If you're a young player, you need to learn the foundation. But if you're an older player, absolutely not. Drills are completely useless, and the body does not record of anything of value when doing a drill. So if I do a drill like this the whole time, 1,000 repetitions, when I go outside and I throw, is what I just did going to fit into the whole mechanics, the whole pitching motion? Absolutely not, because you can't take one section and think that it's going to transfer into the whole motion. It's a scientific fact that that's not going to happen. You can't just take something and expect it to go into a whole motion. So there's a different way of training that you have in order to get mechanical adjustments correct. So you may be asking, well, if drills aren't the answer, what is? Contact me, info@pitchharder.com. I can help specifically analyze what you need, because I can't just give you, like I said, do this drill, do that drill. I have to look at you and understand what is limiting you. Sometimes it's the body. A lot of times I have players that their training regimen is perfect, but their body is limiting them on the amount of velocity they can produce. So I have to structureize some type of routine that is specific to range of motion, PNF stretching, whatever it may be. Like there's foam rolling, tissue, soft tissue work, etc., etc. So, like I said, can't just give you a one size, but the answer to number two is, like I said, drills are good for the younger athlete who has to learn the foundation. After a couple of years, no drills are going to help you as a pitcher. Not going to help you in velocity. It's not going to help in anything. I don't care what or who is implementing it or pushing it. They don't work. Number three, customizing based on the player. As I've mentioned this throughout the whole video so far, and you'll hear me say this in any video, you will not see substantial results unless you have a routine that's customized and based on you. Impossible. Every single individual, almost every single individual I get, when I do a video analysis for them, I always say, hey, this is what we need to do here, step 1 through 5, 10, whatever it may be. And then I give them the prescription. It's like a medicine to how they can accomplish this. One of my players was so amazed by what I showed him in the video analysis. He went from 72 to 75 in 1 day. So it's 3 miles an hour in 1 day, and yet he's still in the 70s. It's still slow, but in his head, he was like, my gosh, I gained 3 miles an hour with one session. I'm going to continue to do this. So he did that. He went from not being known in high school to being one of the top in the state and going to one of the top colleges in the nation. He went from 75 miles per hour to 92 miles per hour in 2 years, year and a half, something like that, around that range. But that's an amazing transformation. And he stuck to it. Every single time I did a video, I would customize it based on where he was at in his motion. See, I would periodize training. I would periodize everything about him, the individual. I saw his strengths, I saw his weaknesses, customized it for him on that aspect. While later, 4 or 5 weeks later, did another one, saw where he needed it, worked on it, and just kept building on that. That is how true results are going to happen for you. Go to my website, pitchharder.com, and I will help you get to 90 miles per hour easy.